the reflection of Citi Field and a puddle, never a good thing. But unlike last night when the game was rained out, despite the raindrops, Mets and Rockies looking to play the second game of this four-game set, and the fans braving the cold to see it tonight. From Citi Field in New York, it's the New York Mets playing host to the Colorado Rockies in tonight's game in HD, brought to you by IOTV. Get the best in HD free with IOTV. Hi, everyone. Welcome inside Citi Field on this cold, chilly, and wet night. I'm Kevin Burkhardt. Gary Cohen and Keith Hernandez will be along in just a moment. So the Mets and Rockies will now play 3 games in a 24-hour period. That thanks to the rain out last night. They've got tonight's game and a double dip, a normal double dip, starting tomorrow at 12:10. And when you look so far at this young Mets season, one of the bright spots for the Mets has been, well, young. Chris Young. He's been tremendous. Taking a look at his first 2 starts. First the one in Philadelphia, where he limited the Phillies in that cold, frigid day. And then here against the Nationals on Sunday, he was simply outstanding. 7 innings in total control. Had the breaking ball working, the change working, and Young dominant, despite the Mets lost that game. Now, some tentative news about Chris Young is learning today that he's got some biceps tendonitis, and that'll keep him out of his start on Friday. Now, the Mets, because of the doubleheader tomorrow, would have needed a starter on Friday or Sunday. So Young getting pushed back till Sunday now. He says, quote, "I'm not concerned about it, but it's a bicep tendonitis that he's never had before. It is up toward the shoulder area, so you have to worry a little bit about a guy that's had shoulder injuries in the past that has this tendonitis." Again, he said he's not concerned. He said if pressed into service, he could have started Friday, but now he's going to start on Sunday, and the Mets will need a starter for Friday. So tonight they take on the Colorado Rockies, and with Colorado, it's always about their play at Coors Field and their play anywhere else. And last year they were an awful road team. They were 31-50, but this year they're 4-1 on the road, and they get a big bat back tonight. With Todd Helton back in the lineup, he had some back stiffness back there tonight. Of course, he's flanked by Carlos Gonzalez and Troy Tulowitzki. Tulowitzki was outstanding. There you see Helton. We know what he can do. All his hits in his career. And then you talk about the starting pitching for tonight's game. Mets could really use a starter to go deep into this one with a double dip tomorrow. Jonathan Nice will get the call, making his 3rd start of the year against the 25-year-old right-hander Esmil Rogers for the Rockies. Nice and Rogers, Mets and Rockies from Citi Field. First pitch through the raindrops. Brought to you by IOTV. Get the best in HD free with IOTV. McFadden's. Buy your all-inclusive McFadden's game day package today. It includes food, drinks, and a ticket to the game. Purchase at Mets.com/McFadden's. By Lexus. By Geico. By Honda. And by AT&T Rethink Possible. Mets Flex Packs, new for the 2011 season, on sale now at Mets.com. Create a pack of 5, 11, or 17 games. Plus, all Flex Packs include a ticket for a bonus game. Call 718-507-TIXX or visit Mets.com now for your tickets. Here at Citi Field, Mets looking to get on track at home against the Rockies. It's Jonathan Neese on the hill. Gary and Keith when we come back with the call.
Seth Smith moves into the leadoff spot against the left-hander. Todd Helton in the lineup. So 3 lefties in the lineup against Jonathan Neese tonight. Todd Helton, who has had a tremendous career at age 37, coming back from a back injury. And you got the big guys Gonzalez and Tulowitzki right in the middle of the order against John Neese, who tries to bounce back from a rough outing in Philly his last time.
Well, you see John's numbers, and a lot of those high numbers are largely due to his last outing in Philadelphia, where he got pummeled. And he went 4 innings, gave up 8 hits, 6 earned runs. Had a lot of strikeouts. I felt Garrett in that game, he came out with a great curveball. We got the strikeouts early, went once through the order of the Phillies, but the Phillies made the adjustment to the curveball. Neese became kind of predictable with it. Pitched a great first start against the Marlins. He's looking to bounce back. Felix.
Felix Millan, the cat, El Gato.
Mr. Choka.
He was so much fun to watch as a Met. Got him from the Braves, part of the 1973 National League Championship team. Played 162 games, first Met ever to do that.
And we'll take a look at the Met defense. And 7 errors in 10 games. That's a little bit too many right now. Murph at second base again, trying to get that bat in the order. Somehow, he had a great, not a great defensive day, but he had a very good day in the field. His first start a couple days ago. And Harris out in left field again until Bay. Bay looks like he's not to be back until late April. And that's Wayne Garrett on the left.
Yes, it is. And there is Felix. Terrific defensive player.
He was the guy that would get the runner over. He knew how to play the game. Smart player.
Classic number 2 hitter.
Yes. And
a guy who wore number 17.
Oh, that's right.
Before it became fashionable.
Yes.
By the way, I'm Gary Cohen. This is Keith Hernandez. Thanks to Kevin for getting the show started tonight.
I thought Kevin read those billboards beautifully. Especially a lot of billboards he had to read, particularly that McFadden's one. I thought he was brilliant.
He set Smith to lead things off for the Rockies. Smith, who hit just a .154 against left-hand pitching last year, 2 for 3 against lefties so far this year, and getting the leadoff assignment tonight. First pitch by John Neese, a fastball for a strike. Smith had a good opening game in this series on Monday night. 3 for 4, a double, a triple, a stolen base. Hitting at .367 in the early season. And he grounds one to the right side for Ike Davis to handle. And Neese has his first out of the night.
Well, interesting that John comes out where he came out in Philadelphia, Gary, his last outing throwing the big hook. He's coming out early here, and you can see the fog. It's San Francisco day here in New York. Coast to coast.
It's in your honor.
I miss San Francisco. I don't want to pay the taxes, though.
Did you leave your heart?
No, my heart is kind of. I haven't been home since I was 18, for crying out loud.
Well,
think about it.
You said you missed it.
I do.
It's been a long time.
It's the most beautiful city. You know that.
Jonathan Herrera, the number 2 hitter, switch hitter, hits one foul, but Neese is ahead of him 0-2. Herrera off to a rip-roaring start, 7 for 15, and his on-base percentage a startling .636 through the first week or so.
They did not expect him to be getting this kind of playing time. Most of his at-bats have been in the 8th in the order.
Hits it off the fist, rolls it out to Murphy at second base, and Daniel handles it cleanly for the second out.
So, boom, boom, Mr. Neese. Fastball, fastball. 2 quick outs.
And now Carlos Gonzalez. Gonzalez 1 for 5 in the opening game of the series, but drove in 3 runs. He had that painful broken bat hit against Ryota Igarashi after Igarashi made a bad throw and failed to turn a 1-2-3 double play.
Last year's National League batting champion, won the Gold Glove in left field. What a young talent. Beautiful swing. He's got a natural swing, Gare. Very fluid. He uses all his upper and lower body. This kid is talented. I know he's been traded twice. How in the world? I know he's been involved in big trades. But you get a guy that swings the bat like this, and he's young as he is.
Traded for Dan Herron, traded for Matt Holliday.
Look at the mist. He's just got a beautiful swing.
Mercedes-Benz Ultramo brought to you by your Tri-State dealers on the web at searchmercedes.com. By the way, you saw that last graphic that 5 Rockies have now won batting titles. They've only been in existence since 1993. So this is what, their 19th season? This is the Mets' 50th season. They've never had a batting champion.
Pelton, Larry Walker.
Galarraga.
That's right.
Swing and a miss, since 2-2 to Gonzalez.
Well, they're up there. I would love to have played 81 games up there. I'm not taking anything away from what these players have done, but
it is some rarefied air.
Oh, man. I played in Mile High Stadium in AAA.
2-2 from Neese, and the curveball strikes out Gonzalez. Fished out of the dirt by Tolle, and the side retired. So Neese with an impressive opening inning. Esmil Rogers goes to the mound when we come back. Here's your Geico Mets starting lineup. Same starting 8 that Terry Collins ran out there Monday night when the Mets scored 6 runs, not enough in a 7-6 loss. Ike Davis has been red hot in the RBI department. Jose Reyes red hot at the top of the order, and he will lead off against Esmil Rogers. Reyes hitting .340. He's got a 9-game hitting streak going. And he takes the first pitch at the knees for a strike.
Hit 2 triples his last time out. You look at the youngster from Dominican Republic, the 25-year-old Esmil Rogers. And that is your Toyota starting pitcher statistics there, I guess we call it. And he is a fine young talent. Throws hard, got a good curveball and a changeup. He's real tough on left-handers with the off-speed pitch.
Popped up in foul ground. Tulowitzki with the angle, running hard, and he gets there for the out. So Reyes fouls out to his opposite number. 1 out and nobody on.
And the Coors Light Rockies defense, and we talked about Mr. Gonzalez over there, the Gold Glover, in left field last year for the National League, and also the shortstop Troy Tulowitzki won his first Gold Glove at shortstop. Todd Helton, of course, over at first base has won Gold Gloves.
So 1 out. Here's Daniel Murphy making his 2nd straight start at second base. Went 1 for 5 on Monday night. Was pretty sure he had 2 for 5 after that Reyes triple with 2 out. He hit one in the hole at shortstop, and Tulowitzki made a spectacular play to get him and keep the game tied.
A play like Derek Jeter would make. The patent Jeter-esque throw here. Watch this, folks. Pretty good play, I think.
Well, you know, Tulowitzki wears the number 2 in tribute to Jeter, who was his hero growing up. Check swing by Murphy, and it's 2-1. And Tulowitzki has got all the goods.
He's also got a nice contract.
He does.
10 years. And I tell you what, a guy like that with his kind of fortitude and attitude and work ethic, you don't mind locking him up 10 years. You know that he's going to live up to it, bar injury.
And that's what you worry about with that long a deal, really, is just the injury factor. Murphy takes high, and it's ball 4. So Rogers, who only walked 1 in his first start of the year in Pittsburgh, walks the second man to face him tonight. And the Mets have a 1-out base runner for David Wright.
David off to a hot start also.
In his 2nd home run of the year here on Monday night, hit it to the right center into the bullpen.
And Murph got a stolen base, his first stolen base the last ball game he started 2 days ago, so the opening game in this series. So they're going to have to keep an eye on him. Playing David pretty much straight up. We've seen pretty much the outfield shading David to the opposite field, as I think they should. He's been hitting that gap in right center field pretty steadily. And right about where that Xerox sign is out there.
Well, he wouldn't mind copying his home run from the other night, right in that vicinity.
Yeah, you can see that flag.
And Rogers working hard on Murphy. Now that Murph has a stolen base under his belt, pitchers will pay a little more attention. Close.
Close, but no cigar, Garrett. Close is only good in horseshoes and hand grenades.
No leaner. David Wright takes a strike. Well, this is the home run Monday night.
And where'd it go? Fastball right down the middle that David played the other way. And that's way out, too. That's impressive.
He hit it off a pretty good pitcher in Rafael Betancourt. Well, the fog just keeps descending lower as we move along in this first inning. 2-strike count to Wright.
There's a view from left field. You're playing down the line.
Inside, a ball and 2 strikes. Well, over the years playing across the parking lot at Shea Stadium, there were a number of games that were affected by fog, and at least one that had a fog delay. A game between the Mets and the Pirates in the late 70s. Bill Robinson playing for the Pirates couldn't see a ball coming through the fog, and they had to stop the game. Not quite so bad tonight.
Oh,
and a good fastball by Rogers gets Wright swinging for the 2nd out.
And there's that outside corner again, Gary. We mentioned that David's having a tough time reaching. And this has got some plate. just got beat. Do it by him. David, a little closer. Well, that's right down Broadway.
Mill to keep climbing overhead cam, revealing the third strike to right, and now Carlos Beltran settles in. Carlos 1 for 4 Monday night, hitting a .233 on the year. And he hits one well out to left field. Gonzalez chasing back near the wall, and it's off the fence. Around third comes Murphy. He's heading home, and there'll be no relay throw. It's an RBI double for Carlos Beltran, and the Mets jump in front 1-0. So Beltran taking one the other way for his 4th double of the year to give the Mets the early lead.
6 extra base hits for Carlos in his young season. It's a 2 home run game he had from the right side of the plate, showing some pop there. The opposite. That's halfway up the wall. That's well done. And Murph runs well. Looks like Super Mario.
Thought for a moment that Tulowitzki was going to rifle one home on the relay, but thought better of it. So Beltran with a run-scoring double, his 6th RBI of the year. And he's in scoring position for Ike Davis. The Mets have played 10 games before tonight, and Ike has an RBI in 9 of the 10. The only game he didn't get an RBI was the game the Mets got shut out by Roy Halladay and the Phillies.
Isn't he the first Met ever to do that?
He is indeed. Only the 11th since they started keeping RBIs in 1920. Jorge Cantu did it last year. In fact, Cantu, playing then with the Marlins, drove in a run in each of the first 10 games. Ike hitting at .351 to win 1 for 4 on Monday night. And he pops one up, shallow left, long run for Gonzalez toward the line, diving, and he held on to the ball. Terrific play by Carlos Gonzalez, his 2nd outstanding defensive play in this series. He takes a base hit away from Davis and saves a run. Mets lead 1-0 after 1. Second inning, 1-0 New York. John Neese faces Troy Tulowitzki. And Tulowitzki takes a fastball for a strike. Tulowitzki with 4 home runs, tying him for the National League lead, including a 2-run shot that proved to be the final difference on Monday night. And he lines a base hit to left field, his first time up tonight.
Boy, he is a player. He is some kind of hitter. Aggressive at the plate. And we talked in the first game, Gary. Look at this. Gets a fastball away. Really had to reach for it. Pulled it. But he was National League Player of the Month in September, where he hit 15 home runs and drove in 41 runs in the month of September.
Just to put that in perspective, that was the most home runs and RBIs in a month of September since Babe Ruth in 1927. That's how big Tulowitzki was in September of 2010.
And of course, the Rockies made a big run late, but they ran out of gas the last couple weeks of the season.
Jose Lopez playing for the first time in this series. Lopez at third base tonight. And that's his September last year.
Those are numbers for half a season. A great half, geez.
Well, when you think of some of the great Septembers in history, as Lopez pops one up, and Reyes coming onto the infield grass to grab it one away. I mean, I always immediately think of Carl Yastrzemski in 1967 as a guy who put a club on his back and carried it through a month of September. I mean, he didn't have the home run numbers that Tulowitzki or Ruth had in September, but I think he has it about 440 that September of 67, and had so many big hits.
And that's there was 3 teams vying for the flag that year, the American League flag, and the Redskins won the last day of the season. Am I correct?
Yeah, the Twins were in it. The White Sox were in it. I think
yes.
The Tigers were in it too.
Yes, 4 teams. You're right. It was a very evenly matched American League that year.
And I think when the Red Sox won on the final day, they still had to wait for somebody else to lose before they actually could celebrate the clincher and avoid a 1-game playoff. And of course, that was a Red Sox team that had finished 9th the year before. They were known as the Impossible Dream Team. Helton hits one out to left center field. A long run toward the gap for Harris, and it goes over his head. Around second goes Tulowitzki on to third. I'm not sure exactly what happened with Willie Harris, because he appeared to be going back on that ball as though he had a play on it.
Did he lose that in the lights? It looked like he lost it again.
Well, he lost one here on Monday night.
Let's see.
This had a lot higher trajectory, but he definitely appeared to shy at the last moment. Now, after Harris lost the ball on Monday night in the lights, we saw Carlos Beltran don sunglasses in the late innings in a night game. And I talked to Carlos about that today, and he said that he thought that any fly ball coming out of the lights that he'd have a better chance with sunglasses, but something you don't see. Deese has a play at the plate, and they'll get Tulowitzki in the rundown. And Wright runs him down for the second out. So after 2 errant throws home by Met pitchers on Monday night, Deese handled that one perfectly. And the 1-2-5 put out erases Tulowitzki for the second out.
Well, just not very good hitting by Spielborgs. And he's mad at himself. Why swing at a curveball first pitch? A good curve. That's the one place Mets conceding a run. That's the one place you don't want to hit him. I mean, we've all left him on base.
Helton moved to third on the play.
So nicely executed rundown, Garrett. See David close down. That's very nice. Nice job by Tolley running him back hard at David. Doesn't allow Spielberg to advance.
And they got the rundown executed fast enough to keep Spielborgs at first. So runners at the corners with 2 out for Chris Iannetta. And he takes a curveball for a strike. Well, this was yesterday before the game got rained out. Mets were doing a little pitcher's fielding practice, concentrating on throws to the plate.
Well, they worked out again today, and they did a lot of ground balls today, a lot of turning of double plays. We never did that when in our day. You know, it was a long season. You had your routine of BP, and you got your ground balls and you went in. But you know, the only time you came out early is if you were in a slump and you wanted extra hitting. We did this was full infield and outfield.
But they've been doing this before batting practice.
This is stuff you do in spring, and you see more and more of it today in the big leagues.
Well, you guys used to take infield 45 minutes before the game, something that doesn't exist anymore.
And also, too, if we had to do that, we were being punished by the manager. We had played poorly defensively for a while, and he said that was as a punishment. That was come out early, and you do spring training stuff, so you wouldn't make those mistakes in the game again.
3-2 to Iannetta with the pitcher Rogers on deck. Iannetta trying to fight out of an 0-for-15 skid. There's Rogers, a former minor league infielder. waiting on deck. Spilborgh's runs 3-2 to Ionetta is fouled off.
So I think that right now, I know that Nice has got a really big bender going here. We've seen it two starts in a row. But I think he's taking a little bit too much off of it, and a hitter can adjust. Even though it's breaking a lot, it's going to break more when it's more off speed. But you lose the crispness of the break when you take a little bit something off of it, and hitters can adjust to that.
Ionetta fouls back another one. You know, it's interesting because when the weather's really dry, you hear pitchers all the time talk about getting the proper grip for their curveball. And I wonder when it's this humid with all this moisture in the air, whether sometimes they get too good a grip and they get that bigger break.
Or if it's slick, and I have no idea. I mean, it's cold out there, too.
8th pitch of the at bat, and Ionetta takes the curveball for ball 4, and that loads him up for the pitcher Rogers. So the first walk given up by Nice. Throwing a 3-2 curveball to the 8-hitter. And so now Rogers, 4 hits in 23 career at bats. That's 174. He was signed originally by the Diamondbacks in 2003 as an infielder. Never hit much in the minors, and finally was moved to the mound in 2006.
Another one of those Hispanic players that have a rubber arm. A lot of great arms come out of the Caribbean and the Latin American countries.
Rogers 1 for 4 at the plate this year. And he fouls it off. 0-2.
He takes a healthy cut.
Now needs to strike away from getting out of it, and he misses inside to Rogers. 1-2. By the way, we were talking about Carl Yastrzemski, September of '67. 417, 9 homers, 26 RBIs.
So you put those numbers up against Tulowitzki's.
1-2, curveball struck him out. So Nice gets out of trouble in the second, gives up 2 hits and a walk, but the Rockies strand 3. At Bat 11 app for your iPhone, iPad, Android, or BlackBerry. Get live audio, pitch-by-pitch tracking, video highlights, and more. Text at BAT to 31826 or visit Mets.com for details. Angel Pagan leads off the home second for New York. Mets with a 1-0 lead. Angel 1 for 4 Monday night. Just 2 hits in his last 19 at bats as he tries to get his season untracked. And he bluffs a bunt. The third baseman Lopez playing way in against Pagan, who will be followed by Harris and Tolle in the second. And Pagan rips one into right for a base hit. So Angel getting ahead in the count, getting a fastball to hit, and he gets aboard to start the second. And now Willie Harris. Willie had a 2-run double in the game Monday night, hitting a .296, and with Sandy Alderson saying last night that the earliest Jason Bay will be ready will be April the 26th, essentially 2 more weeks. It looks like Harris is going to get that much more playing time. Those oblique injuries, rib cage injuries, intercostal injuries, whatever you want to call them, they always seem to take longer than anticipated to heal.
Oh, just so much trunk twisting going on in a baseball swing. And it's not an injury you want.
They got hurt in batting practice right before the Mets' second to last exhibition game, and the hope was that he'd be ready as soon as April the 9th when he was eligible to come off the disabled list, but it's going to be at least 2.5 weeks more than that. And while the Mets have not really struggled offensively, they're averaging 5 runs per game, 4th in the National League. And at the same time, they're a much different team with Bay in the middle of that lineup. For one thing, now with Davis and Harris and Tolle and Murphy all playing every day, it breaks up all those left-hand hitters in the lineup, having Bay in the 5-hole or the 6-hole, wherever he's going to be.
And it gives you another right-handed bat. I do have a feeling that Tolle sooner or later is going to be moved up into 7th position. I just have a feeling that that's going to happen when Tolle gets hot and gets rolling.
And that was a strange looking throw to first base by Rogers as Pagan is back.
Oh, it's almost like he hesitated. He pulled a little Satchel Paige hesitation there. So right now, the hitter, you're looking at this kid throwing, Rogers. Oh, good fastball. Threw it by Willie. He's not getting his changeup over, so spit on it and look for the fastball.
We'll see where the Mets rank so far this season. So they're getting the most out of their offense. They're 12th in on-base percentage, 10th in slugging, but 5th in runs per game. 2-1 to Harris, and it's taken low. Ball 3, 3-1. In the 4th inning tonight, Terry Collins is going to join us live from the dugout, so you want to stay tuned for that. Right after we're done with the 3rd, Terry will spend a couple of minutes with us. Three and 1 to Harris. Let's see if Pagan takes off. He does not, and Willie fouls it off. 3-2.
Well, I'm sure he'll be let loose now. 3-2. Harris has 10 strikeouts and his 27 at bats, and he got off real hot in Florida, but it's kind of cooled down.
Well, you trust Pagan to steal the base even if Harris strikes out in this spot. Pagan 4 for 4 this year, and he runs inside a low ball 4. The Mets have 2 men on.
How can you call a curveball when a guy throws 95 miles an hour? What are you thinking? Slider, my goodness. He just got through throwing a fastball by him earlier in the count.
So Chris Arnett out to talk to Esmil Rogers before they work on the number 8 hitter Tolle with 2 men on. That's already with a 1-0 lead in the second. Jim Tracy took over as Rockies manager in May of 2009. Since he took over, the Rockies have the 3rd best record in baseball. Only the Yankees and Phillies have a higher winning percentage since the day that Tracy became the manager of the Rockies.
Well, they went 74, remember, and 42 for him in 2009 when he took over.
Bob Apodaca, the longtime Rockies pitching coach, former Met pitcher and pitching coach. So now Tolle, and Josh lays off, and it's inside ball one. Tolle 1 for 4 on Monday night, hitting a .276. You see the record, .571 winning percentage since Tracy took over. Third in the majors. The runners go, and Tolle fouls it off.
So hit and
run action with the 8-hitter up.
And that's coming right from the dugout there, Mr. Terry Collins, putting on the hit and run. And Tolle can hit and run. He goes that way. I think it's a good play. You see the aggressiveness of that man right there. We've seen it the first of 10 games of the season, Gary.
It's certainly a change in philosophy from what we've seen over the last few years.
I like it.
One and one to Tolle. And Josh fouls off the curveball. 1-2.
That's the best curve Rogers has thrown so far. If this kid can command his breaking ball with his fastball and changeup, he's got a chance to be a pretty good pitcher.
In his first start against the Pirates this year, left-hand hitters went just 1 for 16 against him, which is a real reversal of fortune for Rogers from last year when he couldn't get lefties out. Another curve, and it's fouled off. Last year, left-hand hitters hit .370 against Rogers. That's the second highest against any major league pitcher. So it's clearly an area he needed to work on, and helped win him a spot in the rotation this spring. He made just 8 starts last year, and 2 the year before. This is then his 11th career start, so a very inexperienced pitcher. Just 25 years old. Pickoff try, and Pagan just gets the hand back. Now jammed his hand into that base.
Boy, he just did get back close.
Pulling up those fingers. And Tulowitzki will continue to keep an eye on him. Rogers ahead 1-2. And Tolle strikes out on the changeup. So Rogers has his second strikeout as Rogers pulled the string on Tolle. 1 down.
Well, this is why they went 1 for 16 in his last start in Pittsburgh, the left-hand hitters. He pitched Tolle pretty tough there. You got to tip your hat. He threw him 2 good curveballs and then gets him with a changeup.
Mercedes-Benz Ultimo brought to you by your Tri-State dealers on the web at searchmercedes.com.
I'm curious to see what Terry Collins does here. Neese handles the bat pretty well.
There's a Coors Light freeze cam on that play at second.
Just got back.
Well, Neese 0 for 2 at the plate, has a couple of sacrifices. Lifetime 174 hitter. You got good speed on the bases with Pagan at second and Harris at first. Tulowitzki broke to the bag. Rogers looks to third, but he'll go to first with it, and Neese, running hard, is out by a stride and a half. So a little miscommunication there with the Rockies. Tulowitzki had run to the bag at second as Rogers threw that pitch, and Tulowitzki's going to come to the mound now to talk about it.
Well, that was a pickoff. And nice fundies by Rogers there. He looked, got to the ball quickly. He looked at the third base, see if he had a play, then reset and threw out the pitcher.
1-4 on the sacrifice, and now 2 in scoring position for Reyes, who is just 1 for 12 with runners in scoring position so far this season. Pagan now at third and Harris at second with 2 out. 1-0 New York in the second. Reyes fouled out to the shortstop his first time up. And Jose takes the fastball wide for ball 1.
And the advantage of your speed. Look at the third baseman right there, Jose Lopez. I think he's in way too far, but that does open up a big hole for you there. You've got to respect the ability of Reyes putting down a bunt, even with 2 outs.
Pagan faking down the line, and Reyes takes the curveball for a strike. You know, the Rockies have been playing that third baseman in on the grass against virtually every speedy Mets hitter in this series so far, no matter what the situation.
I have no problem with Lopez being there. Show Reyes that you're in, but once the pitcher breaks from the belt, Reyes' focus has got to be on the ball. Back off.
Changeup misses, 2-1. Daniel Murphy would be next. Mets as a team hitting .257 with runners in scoring position this season, but only .182 with 2 out and runners in scoring position. And that goes to the backstop. Here comes Pagan. Iannetta with a flip, not in time, and it's 2-0 New York.
Well, as a raw pitcher, another slider that got away. Iannetta had no chance at that.
Got that glove turned backwards and forwards. And Pagan upending the pitcher Rogers. At least he went in feet first. Not like Josh Hamilton yesterday, breaking his arm on a head-first slide to home plate. So now it's 2-0 New York. Wild pitch charge to Rogers. Harris now at third with 2 down. It's 3-1 to Reyes. And he lines one, caught. Right to Herrera, side retired. But the Mets cash a run. A single, a walk, and a wild pitch, bringing it home. And the Mets lead 2-0 after 2. Three credit scorers, 1 place. Seth Smith leads off in the top of the third and grounds 1 foul. Smith grounded out to first base his first time up. So the news came down from San Francisco today that Barry Bonds has been convicted on a single charge of obstruction of justice, but a mistrial declared on the 3 other counts of lying to a grand jury. So the bottom line is that if the guilty verdict on the obstruction of justice stands, the maximum penalty is 10 years in prison. Line to right, and Beltran picks it off for the first down. Now the likelihood is he's not going to go to prison for 10 years. They say that the federal guidelines call for 15 to 21 months, but for similar offenses that have also been covered by the Balco case, cyclist Tammy Thomas got 6 months of home confinement. Track coach Trevor Graham got 1 year of home confinement. But if the verdict sticks, Bonds is going to have some kind of penalty. It's Jonathan Herrera who takes ball 1.
And what about the mistrial? They're going to have to go back and retry?
That's a good question. I think from what I read, and I'm no legal expert, the prosecution and the defense agreed to have it be a mistrial because the jury just couldn't come to a decision. Apparently, though, from interviews with jurors, they were 11-1 to convict on one of the counts. So take that for what it's worth. Herrera grounded out to second base his first time up.
12 angry men. The lone juror. Just in reverse. Jeez.
I don't think Henry Fonda was in the room.
No, I don't think. No, Lee J. Cobb.
One and two to Herrera. And the curveball struck him out. Jonathan Nice with his third strikeout. 2 out in the third. Let's check in with Kevin.
Guys, it's one of our favorite segments of the broadcast, the live Verizon Ask the Booth, and I found the perfect candidate. I'm here with Amy, who lives in the city. Amy used to come to Shea all the time because her Uncle Pete brought her. That would be Uncle Pete Flynn, who's been here since the beginning as a groundskeeper and, of course, was the head groundskeeper for a long time. So Amy has a question for you guys. What do you have for the guys, Amy?
I guess being a lifer, being a lifelong Met fan, I got to ask, do you think Danny Murphy's got what it's take to handle second? I played second base in Little League, and I grew up right here, and I think you got to believe. What do you guys think?
You fired up, fellas.
I can tell.
Love City Field.
So Flynn wants to know about Murphy.
It's a very Irish question.
So what do you think?
I think that it remains to be seen. It's a very difficult position, second base. I think the most difficult of all the infield positions. Turning that double play, the pivot, is very difficult. Murphy's admitted to that, and it remains to be seen if, in fact, that he can do an adequate job, a credible job at second base. He's going to be in the lineup more. If he's going to hurt you defensively, then he's going to be kind of more of a bench player. So Murph worked awful hard his defense, made a couple nice plays the other day. I'd say the jury's still out on that one. There's one juror in there that's undecided.
The only juror that matters is Terry Collins right now, choosing between Murphy and Chin Lung Hu and Brad Emus, and right now Murphy's been his choice the last 2 games. Gonzalez takes just off the plate with the fastball, and it's 3-2. Carlos Gonzalez struck out in a curveball his first time up. Troy Tulowitzki waiting on deck. 3-2 from Nice, and another curve strikes him out again. Same game plan for Nice, and he gets Gonzalez for the second time. His 4th strikeout over the first 3 innings, and Nice goes to the dugout with a 2-0 lead. .com, 3 credit scores, 1 place. 2 mentions. Daniel Murphy, aforementioned, leads off. In the bottom of the 3rd, Murphy walked and scored the first Met run in the opening inning. Mets got a run in the 1st on a Carlos Beltran RBI double, a run in the 2nd on a wild pitch, and lead 2-0 against young Esmil Rogers, who throws low and inside, 1-1. Rogers faced the Mets last year in relief, but this is his first start against them. As Murphy grounds one foul. In fact, only 2 hitters in the Mets lineup tonight have ever faced him before. Reyes and Pagan each had 1 at bat against Rogers. The Rockies, of course, are missing their #1 starter, Ubaldo Jimenez, who's been on the disabled list with a cracked cuticle on the right thumb of his pitching hand. Hit up the middle by Murphy. Herrera with a nice diving stop. Gets up and fires to get him. Tremendous defensive play by Herrera, and Murphy's robbed again.
What a play, and a nice dive, but the strong throw getting off the ground here.
I thought he was going to throw from his knees, but he was able to get all the way back up.
Boy, that is just a very athletic play.
So Herrera continues to impress for the Rockies, and Murphy's got to be talking to himself by now after Tulowitzki robbed him the other night, and now Herrera. So 1 hard out, and here's David Wright, who struck out his first time up. And David lifts one to right field, and Seth Smith is patrolling. 2 out. So Rogers quickly sets down the first 2 in the home 3rd, and now Carlos Beltran, who took one the other way and hit it off the fence in left center for a double to drive and a run in the 1st inning. Signs are all very positive for Beltran right now as far as his bat is concerned.
He swung the bat good from both sides of the plate. Got off to a shaky start from the left side. Was having trouble with off-speed pitches. But, you know, what's in the 11th game of the season? And he swung the bat great. Had the 2 home run game from the right side of the plate.
(3-0) now to Beltran. So Rogers, after giving up the double to Carlos first time up, not throwing him anything close. With Ike Davis on deck.
No, he's a raw pitcher, 50-50 pretty much on balls and strikes.
There's a strike, 3-1. And Beltran shatters his bat as he skims one foul. Ball boy does a nice job with the ball, and Mookie got out of the way of the bat. So all is well.
Fastball in. Just got in on the label. There goes the bat. A lot of these guys use the light bats today. That's why we see these bats shattering. A lot of the maple wood is not as pliant as the white ash. Nice curve.
Ball fouled off.
This kid's got a chance to be a pretty good pitcher. He's out of the same mold as Jonathan Neese. Big hook. 2 good young pitchers throwing tonight.
Throws a little harder than Neese, who appears on top of his game tonight. Again, the 3-2, and Beltran fouls off the fastball. 95 from Rogers. They've got some great arms on this Rockies staff. I mean,
they have always built from within. They've got a good scouting system.
I mean, between Jimenez, who's hurt right now but should be back soon, De La Rosa, the left-hander, who we'll see tomorrow, Ulis Chacin, foul back again. And their starting staff is very young and talented, and then you go to the bullpen, they've got some great arms out there. In fact, the Rockies right now have the best staff ERA of any team in the National League. You didn't think you'd live long enough to hear those words. A team that was always known for their bashing. Ninth pitch to Beltran, and he fouls off another one.
Well, they made improvements with that ball, with that humidor that they have in the ballpark, and I know we've talked about it in the past, but instead of putting cigars in there, they put baseballs in there.
It's a no Panatella zone. One more time to Beltran, and it's ball 4. So Carlos works out the walk. Third one given up by Rogers, one in each of the first 3 innings.
Nice at bat by Carlos there.
A 10-pitch extravaganza, getting Rogers up to 50 pitches through 2 2/3. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Bob's Discount Furniture, proud to be the furniture store of the New York Mets. So now Ike Davis, who looped one toward the left field line his first time up, and Carlos Gonzalez made a terrific diving catch. Rogers had a couple of outstanding plays made behind him. Otherwise, he might be in a bigger hole than 2-0. And Davis rips one into right center for a base hit. Beltran stops at second. Now he continues on to third. A little deke there by Carlos. And the Mets have runners at the corners with 2 down.
First ball, fastball hitting here. And Seth Smith just kind of took it for granted here. And that's those deceptive strokes. Deceptive strides of Carlos. He had no intent of really going to third base there, but Seth Smith has not really played a very impressive outfield.
Known more for his bat than his glove.
And I was informed by Steve Barker in the Stratomatic that Seth Smith is a 4 in Strato.
It's very rare that this is the case, but the best outfielder for the Rockies is their left fielder. I mean, how many times can you ever say that? Here's Pagan with first and third and 2 out. I mean, Carlos Gonzalez is a center fielder playing left. They usually play Dexter Fowler in center because he's got more speed, but Gonzalez is by far their best defensive outfielder. Pagan singled to right his first time up and came around to score. That's with a 2-out threat. And Pagan pops one up in foul ground. That heads down toward the tarp. And out of play. 1-1.
Jose pulling up that front shoulder still. Got to keep that front shoulder tucked. If you lift it up in the air when you begin to attack the baseball and pull off, you're in trouble. They're going to go away here.
In the dirt, but not far enough for Beltran to make a break. Davis, though, goes to second base. Good base running by both. Beltran not going and Davis going.
Oh, the second wild pitch from Rogers. And Iannetta does all the right things there. Stays in front.
He's got his wrist in the way of that.
It got the heel of his glove, and Ike alertly advancing.
But not far enough for Beltran to make a move. So now 2 in scoring position with 2 out and a 2-1 count to Pagan. And Angel watches wide ball 3. A walk here would fill the empty base, load him up, and bring up Willie Harris. So we'll see how aggressive Rogers is in this spot against Pagan. With the Mets already up 2-0 in the third. And it's in the dirt for ball 4, and the bases are loaded. So that's the second walk in the inning, and the fourth in just 2 2/3 issued by Rogers, who walked only 1 7 1/3 in his first start. Bob Apodaca out for a conversation.
Well, this is going to be Rogers' problem all the time here. Another nice play by Iannetta to save a run. Not enough faith in his fastball. He throws hard. He's just throwing. He's pitching like a veteran pitcher out there, and he's just a raw kid. Rear back, get your rhythm. All this 3-1 behind the count, trying to trick hitters. Come on.
So a little stern talking to by Dak. And Willie Harris will get a chance to add to the Mets lead. Harris walked his first time up. Bats here with the bases loaded and 2 down. Rogers retired the first 2. This could have been a whole lot worse for him, but Herrera made that great play on Daniel Murphy leading off the inning. Right flied out, but then Beltran walked. Davis with a base hit, and Pagan after a wild pitch with a walk. So now bases loaded, 2 out. And Rogers starting to look more and more tentative as the trouble burgeons around him. Up and away, ball 1.
Now as a hitter here, boy, you're looking for some cheddar. You're 1-0. You break the ball game open. You're hitting in the 6th hole in the lineup, 7th actually, Harris. You got a hitter pitcher in trouble. A double right here breaks this game wide open. Don't look for a walk. Get a fastball you like, jump all over it.
And that fastball just misses. And Harris held the swing. 2-0.
And even a better count now to let her rip.
So Rogers in a heap of trouble. Bases loaded. Behind on Harris, 2-0. And Harris pops one foul. So we got a 2-0 fastball, but fouled it off.
Still got to think 2-1. It's the hitter's count here with Rogers struggling.
Josh Coley on deck. Well, Rogers has faced 16 batters. He's thrown first pitch strikes to only 7 of them, so he's been working from behind most of the time.
59 pitches in this game. This will be his 60th, obviously.
Yeah, that works out. 2-1 to Harris, and it's ball 3. He's having trouble even throwing his fastball for strikes now.
I just blame the pitch selection. There's no one up in the bullpen.
Just trying to keep warm out there on a 49-degree night. 3-1 to Willie Harris with the bases full. And Willie takes a strike. Jim Wolf with a deliberate call, and it's 3-2.
Close. Let's see if he has the corner. Too close to take. I didn't think it was too high.
So now the merry-go-round will be in motion. Beltran at third, Davis at second, Pagan at first will all be running with 3-2 and 2 down. And Harris fouls it back, and they'll do it again. So the Mets really making Rogers work here in the 3rd inning. And hoping to get something productive out of it after 2 out and nobody on. .27 pitches this inning already for Rogers. Again, the runners get set to take off. 3-2. In the air to left center field. Playable for Spilborghs, the center fielder. And he puts it away to end the inning. So the Mets load him up but can't get him home. Terry Collins will join us from the dugout in just seconds. We've played 3. To grab Terry a little bit later on, but it was nice of Terry to give it a shot to join us between innings, and we'll try and get the audio problem squared away. Meanwhile, we go to the 4th inning with the Mets leading 2-0, and Troy Tulowitzki will lead off against John Neese. Neese had to work out of a big-time jam in the second, gave up a single to Tulowitzki, a double to Helton, but was able to get out of trouble. He struck out 4 over the first 3 innings and walked only 1. Tulowitzki a base hit to left in his first trip, and he takes up and away for ball 1. It'll be Tulowitzki, then Jose Lopez, and Todd Helton right, left against Neese in the 4th. And Tulowitzki drives one to right, chasing Beltran back. Carlos has it go over his head and up against the wall. And Tulowitzki steams into second base with an opposite field double.
Well, this is a short hop here. Line drive, opposite field, high fastball, and shows the opposite field power. I thought Carlos thought he had the beat on this, and that ball just was hit harder than he thought.
And Mets just not getting Tulowitzki out so far in this series. He's now 4 for 6 with a double and a home run. So he's at second with nobody out. And here's Jose Lopez, who popped up to short his first time up. And Lopez takes a strike. Lopez, who spent 7 years in Seattle, had a terrific year 2 years ago with 25 homers, 96 RBIs, but really slumped last year. And the Rockies got him for a minor league pitcher in the offseason. Hits one the other way, and Davis will take it himself. So Lopez advances Tulowitzki with the inside-out swing, one away.
Well, nice effort on Lopez's part there to get the runner over. And you notice Ike take a look at third base. I like that.
Well, Ike likes his arm and knows he has a good one. And if you lollygag at all on a play like that, he'll go after you.
Well, that's the play I used to love to make, so I would like to see that. You get a truck horse over there at second base, you can throw him out.
We saw a play in spring training where Ike showed off his arm and nearly killed David Wright. It's Todd Helton who takes a strike. It was a play where David charged and threw across the diamond to get a runner at first base after making a cutoff from left field. Tried to get the runner rounding the bag. And Reyes went to cover third, and Wright was in the middle of the diamond, and Davis threw it back across the diamond, and the ball was headed right for Wright's chest, and he just threw up his glove at the last moment. The ball knocked the glove off his hand and halfway across the infield. That's how hard it was thrown. But talking to Reyes the next day, Reyes said, I thought Ike was going to kill him with that throw. That's how hard he threw it. Ryan Spilborgh's on deck. Helton doubled to left center his first time up. And he bounces one foul just outside the bag, 1-2.
Now, Helton, a very professional hitter, long career with the Rockies, batting champ. Notice that he not fishing for the bad breaking ball from Neese, where the batting champion hitting in front of him, Carlos Gonzalez, the much younger hitter, has struck out twice at 2 bad curves. It's a tough strikeout here.
2-2 to Helton. The sidearm delivery. We haven't seen that much from Neese.
We don't need shades of Oliver Perez anymore. Come on, stay on top. Let's not go there, Jonathan.
Now, if he'd broken that ball over the plate, maybe you'd say something different. Past the mound toward the middle of the diamond, a base hit for Helton, and that'll bring home Tulowitzki with the first Colorado run. So Helton with a bouncing single up the middle picks up his second hit of the night, his 5th RBI of the year, and now it's 2-1 New York.
Very, very professional at bat there. And let's remember now, this is a guy that Neese hasn't pitched that much against this ball club. He's had 3 starts. Well, he's had 3 starts, but that's really not enough to get a feel. That's really a start of season or 2. And so as a hitter, Helton's not really in sync with him. That was a great at bat.
Now Ryan Spilborghs takes a strike. Spilborghs playing center field tonight. Been a 4th outfielder for most of his career. Now 31 years old. saw it off. Ike will go to second with it. Reyes holds on to it. That's the second out.
I must say, Ike has made some improvements here in his quickness. Nice. Go get it. Beautiful. And quick throw. I like the release. Nicely done. And Ike was always a little gangly last year at first base. He's showing a lot more quickness.
So now Chris Iannetta bats with 2 out, and Spilborg's the runner at first. Iannetta walked his first time up. Rockies now with a run on 4 hits against Nice. Tying run at first and 2 out. And the curveball misses wide. Iannetta 0 for his last 15, but he got on base 3 times on Monday night. 2 walks and a hit by pitch, and on base his first time tonight. Terry Collins was talking about this the other day. Got a number 8 hitter who can get on base, clear the pitcher's spot with regularity. It's a big plus.
Yes, it is.
Turning that lineup over. Because if you think of a pitcher as an automatic out, if a pitcher leads off an inning and makes an out, well, the odds of you scoring in that inning drop precipitously.
Yes. That's why I would have loved to have played in the American League or had a DH when I played, because it was hitting third. I bet you I would have had 20 more RBI a season, 15 to 20 more RBI. And what a lot of managers do is the 9th hitter becomes the second leadoff hitter in a lot of the lineups.
Should have hung around Cleveland longer.
Well, shoot. I'm happy where I wound up.
Yeah, I think so.
But instead of having almost 1,100 RBI, I probably would have had close to 1,500, you know? So how do you make that distinction for Hall of Fame balloting?
Check swing, and Iannetta holds up.
You know, conversely, with the pitchers, Ronnie said when he went over to the American League, with the DH, there was strikeouts went down.
Sure. Lose that automatic strikeout of the pitcher.
So how do you make that distinction between the 2 leagues?
Curveball hit to right field. Beltran back a few strides as this one lined up and puts it away to retire the side. Helton drives in Tulowitzki with the first Colorado run. It's 2-1. The Mets will come up against Esmil Rogers, leading 2-1. Rogers able to get himself out of a bases loaded 2-out jam in the 3rd. He'll take on the number 8 hitter Josh Thole, leading off in the bottom of the 4th. Tolle struck out his first time up. Nice will follow, and then Jose Reyes in the bottom of the fourth as the fog gets a little bit thicker. We've already seen a couple of outfielders, maybe with the fog, maybe with the lights, be a little bit tentative, especially that last fly ball that Beltran caught. Looked like he was a little bit affected by the fog.
It's a very eerie night, like right out of a Poe short story.
I feel like Vincent Price should show up.
The House of Usher.
Tolle with a comebacker, and Rogers makes the play for the first out. So one away. Well, we were finally able to get our audio problem solved, and Terry Collins joined us between innings. We asked him what his biggest surprise has been so far this season.
Well, I really right now, one of the things that's really shocking with the way we threw the ball in spring training was that, you know, the base on balls have been shocking because we did not do that at all this spring.
From an offensive standpoint, you're pleased with the offense so far, doing the little things. They are hitting, getting runs in.
Well, we're getting guys on, just like the last inning. I mean, that's the one thing we've lacked so far is that big 2-out hit to, really put a game away. But, we keep getting guys on base, and I keep telling the guys, you just keep getting on, and eventually we're going to start driving you in.
I've noticed the last couple games, Terry, that you've kind of put a hit and run on a few times. You're doing some things to try to force the issue, be aggressive.
Well, we're trying to. It goes back to the same thing. We haven't been able to come up with that hit, so I'm trying to see if we can get some guys in motion, maybe find some holes and get some balls through.
Terry, thanks very much for joining us.
Okay, guys, thanks.
All right, Terry Collins, Mets dugout. Well, it certainly has been a marked difference in the way Terry has pushed the offense in terms of trying to make things happen and not just waiting for things to happen, as Nice rolls one out to second and Herrera throws him out for the second out.
And I think for all the Met fans out there watching, you can see the intensity and the focus of Terry Collins, and if you really listen to what he had to say, is the positive reinforcement that he brings to that team. They haven't been driving in runs, and he's just telling the guys, you just keep getting on base and eventually we're going to drive you in. That's a very positive punctuation right there.
On the other hand, his first comment was very telling. He
Yes.
has been shocked that the Mets have not done a better job throwing strikes. In fact, the Mets came into the day with the second most walks in the National League. One of the reasons why they have the second highest ERA in the National League.
Well, I think accountability is what it's all about now on this team with this new manager. I think that you get up in the morning, you look yourself in the mirror, you know who you are. So I think they're going to be accountable.
Reyes hits one out toward left center field, slicing away from Spilborghs. He can't get it. Stops it on the warning track and holds Reyes to a double. So Jose Reyes with his third extra base hit in this series. He's at second with 2 down.
Well, this ball slices away, fastball out over the plate. And Spilborghs just can't get to it. Had a lot of hang time. And Jose continues to hit.
So the Mets have a runner in scoring position with 2 down for Murphy, who got robbed of a base hit by Jonathan Herrera, the second baseman, his last time up. Walked and scored back in the first. And Murphy rips one right along the line, a fair ball into the corner. Reyes scores. Murphy heads for second. Back-to-back 2-out doubles by Reyes and Murphy produce a run, and it's 3-1 New York.
First pitch fastball down and in, turns right on it. Murphy's very quick, very short stroke, line drive hitter.
So the Mets get their first hit with a runner in scoring position tonight. Now 1 for 5 in that category.
It'll be hard to take him out of the lineup.
Well, as long as he hits, he's not going to sit. Here's David Wright, who struck out and flied to right. 0 for 2. And he pops one up along the right field line, and Seth Smith ambles over to grab it and end the inning. But back-to-back 2-out doubles by Reyes and Murphy stretch the Met lead to 3-1 after 4. offering $5,000 grants to in-need organizations to be used for new equipment, uniforms, or field improvements. The deadline to apply is June 15th. For details, visit sny.tv or any local sports authority location. 0-2 to Esmil Rogers leading off in the 5th inning. Rogers struck out his first time up. John Neese now staked to a 2-run lead. Neese has walked 1, struck out 4 over the first 4 innings as Rogers pokes 1 foul. Seth Smith on deck, and then Jonathan Herrera for the Rockies in the 5th. Colorado off to a 7-2 start, matching their best start ever, leading the National League West. And the curveball misses 1-2, and more importantly for Colorado, they're winning on the road, which is something they've always had trouble with. Last year, 31-50 away from Coors Field.
Well, I think a lot of that probably was helping this team. Number one, they're talented. It's a talented group. But Gary, I think the humidor has had an effect on the pitching. Strike 3 called there. That's Neese's 5th strikeout.
Let's check in with Kevin Burkhardt, standing up by with one of the all-time Met greats.
You know, Gary, it's a reunion week here at Citi Field. Some of the Mets coming back, and of course, the great catcher Jerry Grote is with me. Jerry, you know, it's interesting because we were talking inside. You know, Mets have this young catcher, Josh Tolley, now, young guy trying to control a staff. Take me back to when you started. You were up in the majors at a young age, and what was it like as a young guy trying to get to learn how to call games and control a pitching staff?
The most interesting thing was to be able to have guys with the old Colt 45s like Nellie Fox, Pete Reynolds, Eddie Casco, Bobby Lillis. They took me under their wing. They were hitters, and all they talked about was hitting, and I used that information as a defensive catcher.
How did you learn to adjust to their games, though? I'm sure there was a point, you know, where you kind of take over the game calling a little bit. What was the adjustment like when you're kind of learning how to call the game to their likes and things like that?
Well, I got up when I got up here to New York. I'd already had a full year in the big leagues, and it was just a matter of adjusting to the pitchers and learning what pitches were their number one pitch. It did not necessarily be a fastball. It could have been a curve or breaking ball or a changeup. And that's what I adjusted to and used that with my knowledge of the hitters. I adjusted to hitters more than I did to pitchers.
As Seth Smith draws a walk, so that'll bring up Jonathan Herrera. As we talked to Jerry Grote, you know, as you went around the league and got used to the hitters, how long did it take for not only you to get used to the league, but then for your staff to kind of trust you a little bit more and start to trust your instincts a little bit more?
Well, my first 2 years up here in New York were a little bit difficult, mainly because I spent time learning to work with veteran pitchers. Right. Most of the guys were veteran pitchers. Seaver came up in '67, and I was so far behind Seaver it was unbelievable. He was pitching like a 3-4 year veteran his rookie year. Really? And it took me probably a month or 2 months to just catch up with him, not realizing how far ahead he was.
Wow. And when you're talking about him looking ahead in terms of, you know, looking ahead in the game, or you're talking about just his stuff was that good? Oh,
his knowledge and the way he pitched, he was like a 3rd, 4th year pitcher already.
Yeah. Yeah, and how about, you know, when you go look ahead to the next year and you talk about Kuzman and you talk about Nolan Ryan, what do you remember about catching those two guys?
I'm sure glad I got to catch him, didn't have to hit against them. Once I joined the Dodgers, a couple of the guys out there said a great weekend in New York was coming in, going 0 for 12 and not getting hit. So, you know, they did not want to come into New York because they knew what kind of pitching staff we had.
Well, how difficult was it, especially with Nolan? You know, he could be a little wild too, and he had that heater. So, I mean, how difficult was it to stay back and to be able to catch that fastball?
Wild or purposely wild?
Well, there you go.
It was difficult because he might throw 3 perfect curveballs on the corner and turn around and throw the next one in the air or hit the next one out on the grass there.
And Herrera has the knock, so the Rockies have something going, and it'll bring up the reigning batting champion, Carlos Gonzalez. We talked to Jerry Grote. Jerry, you know, actually, you told me inside you have joined us. You are now a broadcaster, right? You started last year?
Well, I went to visit a play-by-play announcer in the Coast League down at Round Rock. We were affiliated of the Astros at the time, have changed now, and are AAA for the Texas Rangers. And I am now doing the color there in Round Rock with Mike Capps, who's been there for 12 years, and I'm absolutely having the ball. I feel like I'm stealing money.
All right, so you watch the game here. You watch the game down at the minor league level on an everyday basis. What are your thoughts on how these pitchers today are being handled? I mean, it's interesting. You're working in the Rangers organization where last year Nolan Ryan said, hey, I want to lengthen our guys out. We've got to get back to having guys, go deeper into games, throwing complete games. What is your take as a catcher to how staffs are handled these days?
I like Nolan's idea totally, 100%. He told the pitchers, he said, we will know when your pitch count is enough by what the bats sound like.
So in the minor leagues then, as you are, is that starting all the way down at A-ball? What differences and changes have you seen in those kids?
Oh, the tremendous change, and they're going out and they're throwing as hard. They're going out and throwing every pitch like it's their last pitch, and they have challenged these kids all the way through the organization and they have actually pushed them to where they're maybe in a league they don't belong in, but they're giving them a chance in that upper league, maybe one league higher, and they can really go. But they're loving it, and they're producing. They won 6 out of 7 of their farm clubs last year, won titles.
Jerry, Mets have a doubleheader tomorrow. Just curious if Terry Collins needs it, if you could get out there for a couple innings behind the dish.
I don't think so. Just a little bit too long ago.
Always great catching up. Thanks for the time. All right, Jerry?
All right, my pleasure.
The great Jerry Grote, guys. Let's go back to you, see if the Mets can stop this Rockies rally.
Tom Seaver always called him my catcher. Jerry Grote, 12 years with the Mets. Came to them in '66 in a trade from Houston. Was here through '77, part of a World Series champion in '69 and another World Series team in '73. Carlos Gonzalez takes inside. Tying runs on base for Gonzalez. And you see the numbers on Grote. He was never about the offense, though. He was all about the defense.
And he was hard-nosed, called a great game, was a great thrower, and he was old school. He didn't talk to the opposing players. He was gruff.
Smith at second, Herrera at first, a 3-2 count. They're not running, and the curveball bounced slowly. Murphy will have to go to first with it and gets Gonzalez for the second out. So that curveball's given Gonzalez fits tonight. He's now 0 for 3.
That was a much better at bat by Gonzalez that time. Now this curve hangs up a little bit inside. It ties him up. Could have stayed in a little bit. Oh boy, it was right there to hit. He missed it. That was a hanger.
All right, let's be radical. It's the 5th inning. The Mets are up by 2. The tying runs are in scoring position, and they haven't been able to get Tulowitzki out in this series. Would you consider walking him?
I always knew you were a radical.
You didn't answer my question.
Pitch to him carefully.
Today he is single to left and double deep to right. Second and third and 2 out. And he takes the cutter for a strike, 0-1.
You wouldn't have it. Though, look at the fog there. Looks like that.
Looks like Halladay is befogging the Nats so far tonight.
Looks like that Eagle Bears playoff game. What year was that?
Yeah,
Soldier Field.
Couldn't see a thing. Tulowitzki down the right field line, slicing toward the corner.
Oh my goodness.
And it's out of here.
Are you kidding?
A 3-run homer for Troy Tulowitzki. Tucked it just inside the foul pole down the right field line. His 5th home run of the season, a 3-run shot, and it gives the Rockies a 4-3 lead. What a series he's having.
I was just going to say, look how he just takes charge. I was just going to say, you get no argument from me if you walk this guy. And this is not a second guess. I have no issue, but this is a fastball up, and he reaches for it. Look how strong he is.
It's like he had his eyes closed when he hit that, by the way. Jose Lopez, the batter, and he hits one well out to right center field. Pagan chasing toward the gap will get there to end the inning. But the Mets pitch to Tulowitzki with first base open. Nice pays for it. The 3-run homer puts the Rockies up 4-3. Puts the Rockies up 4-3 as Carlos Beltran leads off in the home fifth and takes a curveball for a strike from Esmail Rogers. Rogers now pitching with the lead for the first time. Beltran doubled off the wall and left to drive it a run in the first, walked in the third. And it's 1-1 to Beltran with Davis and Pagan to follow as the Mets try and fight back in the bottom of the fifth. On a foggy night in New York. And Beltran lines one to left, but right at Carlos Gonzalez for the first out.
Well, another good at bat by Carlos.
First time Beltran's been retired tonight. And now Ike Davis. Ike was robbed of a hit on a diving catch by Gonzalez in the first. Then he singled to right center in the third. And they put on the full shift against Ike. First time he's come to bat with the bases empty tonight.
You can't call that a triangle defense because they are all three of them lined up in a row on the fringe of the outfield grass.
Does that mean they're respecting Ike's speed? I mean, the whole point of that triangle is that you figure you got a relatively slow guy at the plate. You can play the second baseman out in the outfield.
Yeah, you can see right there. Normally they put the guy back there in the outfield, way in the outfield.
Terry Collins was talking about infield shifts the other night and how much more prevalent they are now than when he last managed a little over a decade ago. There's so much more information now about where hitters hit balls and how often and in what situations, how to play the infield, how to play the outfield. Right into the shift. Helton's got it, and Rogers covers for the second out. And Terry said, look, you know, every once in a while you're going to get burned by it. Guy's going to hit it through the vacated spot on the diamond, but the odds are in your favor. Otherwise you wouldn't be doing it.
Playing percentages.
Right. Well, he said just as you play percentages when you bat a certain hitter against a certain pitcher, right, or bring in a certain pitcher to face a certain batter. He said we play our defense the same way, and you know, every team has reached that point now where they have such an enormous amount of information.
Yep. And the name of the game is really hit them where they ain't.
Well, Wee Willie Keeler said that back in the 1880s. It still applies today. Here's Angel Pagan, who's been aboard twice with a single and a walk, and he takes a strike. Pagan scampered home on a wild pitch in the second inning, upending the pitcher Rogers as he did, and he hooks this one foul.
Oh, almost got Mr. Met.
It's a big target. Here's the Mets upcoming schedule. Remember, all Mets games on SNY are available in HD, presented by IOTV. You can also listen to all Met games on Sports Radio 66 WFAN. 2 games tomorrow, a straight doubleheader starting at noon. And then the Mets go to Atlanta for the weekend before coming right back to play the Astros and the Diamondbacks next week at Citi Field. Let's see, 2 games tomorrow. You or Ronnie?
Ronnie's got both of them.
Really?
Yes, and I don't go to Atlanta, so I've got 5 days off in a row.
You disappear into the netherworld.
Well, I can get all set up at home on those 5 days out in SAG.
For the rest of us, it's get home tonight, pack, get here early tomorrow, right, 2 games, fly to Atlanta. It's a full day.
I'll be thinking of you, Gary.
Thank you. I appreciate your thoughts.
I'll be watching, too.
Well, that's good. Be a long day of baseball tomorrow. R.A. Dickey will go in the first game tomorrow. Here's the 2-2 to Pagan. Lifted in the air to deep right center field. Back goes Spilborghs back to the track, and it lands on the warning track and hops against the wall. Pagan around second. He'll easily make it to third, and he's in standing with a triple. First triple of the year for Angel Pagan.
Well, that would be great if he can get Pagan going. He's 2 for 2 tonight. High changeup. Short hops the wall. And I've always said, Gary, from the day we first saw this ballpark with the speed of Reyes and Pagan, that this is a triples park.
Angel had 11 triples last year, and he has his first of the season. Excuse me, 7 triples last year. They got it right on the graphic. So here's Willie Harris as Pagan walks down the line from third. Rogers in the full windup. You don't see that much these days, particularly with a fast man at third. Well, each of the last 3 innings now, the Mets have started to get something going with 2 out and nobody on. And now Rogers goes from the stretch after throwing the first pitch from the windup.
Well, someone told him from the bench.
And Harris takes just off the plate 1-1.
And you know, I don't have a problem with going in the windup. If you feel more comfortable going in the windup, and it's up to the third baseman to go over there and kind of hug third base and don't let Pagan get a big lead or even think about stealing home.
Lopez, the third baseman, playing in but well off the line. 2-1 now to Harris, who walked in the second, and then with the bases loaded and 2 out in the third, got the count to 3-1. Fouled one off and then flied out to strand 3. Tying run at third and 2 down. And Harris takes low and inside as Rogers has already thrown 2 wild pitches in this game. So Chris Ionetta's got to be alert back there.
I didn't think Ionetta framed that pitch at all. I thought that might have been a strike on the other side of the plate. Did we see the pitch count? High, to say the least.
Nobody throwing yet in the Rockies bullpen, and that time Rogers was set to pitch out of the windup again, and he's going to.
Yeah, he's more comfortable.
So he's gone back and forth during this at bat. Behind now on Harris, 3-1. And Willie hits one sharply, but right at the second baseman Herrera. And that'll do it for the Mets in the bottom of the 5th. So Pagan triples, stays at third, 5 in the books. It's 4-3 Rockies. Todd Helton leads off the 6th inning for Colorado. Rockies with a 4-3 lead. Helton already 2 for 2. He doubled to left center and singled to center to drive in a run. And Neese throws a cutter for a strike, and it's 1-1. Todd Helton's double in the 2nd inning, his 528th, and ties him with Frank Robinson and Cap Anson for 32nd all-time on the doubles list. Cap Anson.
That's going back. That's an old name.
It's an 1800s name. Brian Spilborg's on deck, then Chris Ionetta. Driven to right field. Beltran moving over, and he makes the grab. Beltran getting a quick start on that one, and Helton retired for the first time tonight. Time to check in with Chris Carlin for a New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. after the Braves beat the Marlins last night behind some great pitching by Tommy Hanson. Johnson turning the tables tonight. Ryan Spilborgh's fouls went off. Spilborgh's has been up twice into a fielder's choice each time. There are some great pitching performances going on tonight in the National League. Roy Halladay has allowed no runs and 2 hits through 6 in Washington.
Got a shutout in Milwaukee too.
Is that Gallardo tonight for the Brewers? To check on that. No, it's Sean Markham. Foul by Spilborghs. Milwaukee's up 6-0 on Pittsburgh in the 7th inning behind Markham. That curveball bounces 1-2. John Neese up to 94 pitches on the night. He was in the lead until Tulowitzki's unlikely 3-run homer in the 5th inning. This one's driven deep to left off the bat of Spilborghs. Back goes Harris for a look, but it's out of here. Ryan Spilborghs with his first home run of the season extends the Rockies' lead to 5-3. So Neese, who did not give a home run in his first 2 starts, has given up home runs in back-to-back innings.
Fastball wants to be in, not in enough, and boy, he just turned on it. And any home run hit in this ballpark is not a cheapie. Yep, you can read his lips.
Well, sometimes the big ballpark isn't big enough.
There's the pitch, the IOTV pitch differential, and that's all it takes, folks, right there. You can see it. That's 3 inches. That's the difference on getting it on the label. If you see Taylor Buchholz up and getting it on the barrel of the bat and a home run.
So Dan Worthen out to try and counsel Neese and buy some time for Buchholz. So on a night when John Neese looked like he was really in a groove early in this game, things have gone awry for him over the last 3 innings. Give up a leadoff double to Tulowitzki in the 4th, give up a run in that frame, and then the 3-run homer by Tulowitzki in the 5th. Now Spilborghs is homered in the 6th.
And you saw the ERAs of both the Met starters and the relievers, and that they're 15th, rated over 5. That's not getting it done.
And now a 4-pitch walk to Iannetta. So it's getting no better for Neese, his 3rd walk of the night. And the pitcher Rogers will come up, and this could be Neese's last batter. Rogers has been up twice, struck out both times. Might be called upon to bunt here.
He'll be called on the bunt, and Neese will face the lefty Seth Smith.
Neese about to throw his 100th pitch of the night. And Rogers bunts it back to Neese. Nicely done. 1-4 on the sacrifice, moving Iannetta down to 2nd. So now runner in scoring position with 2 down for Colorado, and Smith will step in. Seth Smith 0 for 2 and a walk tonight. Scored in front of Tulowitzki's home run in the 5th. Well, the Mets have averaged 5 runs per game this year, but their pitchers have not made that enough to stand up night after night.
There's already been a major alteration in the bullpen.
Down to first base, and Davis behind the bag makes the play himself on Smith. That ends the inning, but the Rockies add a run on the Spilborghs home run and lead it 5-3.
Fielding. Hitting and hustling. Running. And sliding.
That young man Lindsey Nelson was talking about, of course, is the guy they affectionately called Siva. Tom Seaver today is the 44th anniversary of his major league debut. Didn't get a decision. Mets wound up winning the game, and a Hall of Fame career was launched as Josh Thole takes a strike leading off in the home sixth.
The franchise from Fresno, California, now a winemaker in Napa Valley.
And how did the Mets acquire him? Well, they picked his name out of a hat.
Are you kidding?
Well, he had been signed illegally by the Atlanta Braves. Brad Emis on deck as Thole hits one right off the pitcher, deflects to Herrera, and he throws him out. How about that? Bad luck for Thole, and that's the first out.
How was he drafted illegally?
Because he was at Southern Cal and the season had already started, and he was not supposed to be signed at that point. This is before the free agent draft. Teams were able to sign whoever they wanted. Draft didn't begin until 65. And so the commissioner ruled that any team who was interested in signing Seaver could put their names in a hat, and whoever got drawn out would get the chance to sign him. And sure enough, the Mets won that one.
Out of all the teams,
I think there were only 4 or 5 teams that put their names in the hat. John Neese done after 6 up and down innings. Brad Emis will bat for him and takes ball 1. Let's check in with Kevin with another former Met. Kevin?
Yeah, we told you, Gary, at Alumni Week here, Mets bringing back some of their former great players. Matt Franco is here, and Matt was telling me you have maybe assembled the best Little League coaching staff in the history of the world. You're coaching your son in Little League with Todd Zeal on the staff. I mean, who can beat that team?
And by the way, Todd's my assistant. I'm the manager, and Todd is helping me out. We got 3 great little boys, and it's a lot of fun.
I mean, what the joy of coaching baseball at its purest level with 6 and 7 and 8-year-olds, right?
I'll tell you, there's absolutely nothing like it. I like to coach first base when I'm doing it, because when every time they hit the ball, just see their face running down the baseline is it's really awesome, and we have a blast doing it. Just great kids, and it's like you said, it's the joy.
Emis trying to get a Met rally started with a single and bring up Reyes with a tying run. I mean, you know, obviously when people talk to you, have to talk about the hit off Rivera in '99, a big 2-run rally off Mariano. Is it crazy, though, that here it is in 2011 and he's still pitching just as well?
Yeah, that is phenomenal. That was, 12 years ago now. And he was a little bit over the hill then, I think. And for him to still be doing that is it's incredible. One of the greatest closes of all time. And I was very fortunate to get that hit because I've got a lot of mileage off that hit.
I was going to say, what does that mean? I mean, do people bring that up to you all the time?
Well, you know, I had some other big hits, which I feel like people forgot about. But, it's all they talk about. It's all they remember, which I'm grateful for that. It was a big hit. It was a big day for the Mets at the time to play the Yankees, kind of the first year of interleague play. Getting mobbed by the teammates, the ESPN interviews after, and something I'll never, ever forget. And apparently the fans of New York will never forget as well.
You know, and in 2000, fast forward the next year, it's 1-1 on Reyes here with Emis off first. Fast forward to 2000 when we win that magical run of the World Series. And
Ray.
I remember the San Francisco series, and I remember JT Snow hitting a bomb off Benitez. I mean, the resolve, the mental resolve to come back and win that game, right?
Yeah, that was a special team. We had a really special group of guys. We all kind of knew something special was happening, and we had a lot of moments like that where it didn't look good. But like you said, the resolve of the team and just the guys, Robin Ventura, Todd Zeal, John, I could go on and on, but something I'll never, ever forget and feel very fortunate to be a part of.
Just one more from me before we let you go and enjoy the rest of this. You know, the Mets, of course, have had some Japanese players, and we talk about their transition to come over here. You played in Japan for Bobby Valentine. What was the biggest transition for you going over there and playing?
You know, actually, the transition was not difficult. I was a guy who I played a ton of winter ball, and I loved playing baseball and traveling. It was never an issue for me, the food or anything like that. The pitching was a little bit different, and the style of the game was different.
How was the pitching different?
Well, just, you know, a lot more off-speed stuff, especially for me being a bench player, pinch hitter here. more of a guy who would hit 6th or 7th in the lineup, going there hitting 4th every day.
You were the cleanup guy.
Yeah, I was one of the big guys, which was great for me after playing here and being a bench player for so long. Sure. Going over there and being in the middle of the lineup and playing every day was actually the main reason why I went there. But that was also very special. We won the World Series over there in 2005, and I owe a lot to Bobby. Bobby believed in me from a early time, brought me up with the Mets, and knew I could perform well in Japan, and went over there and had a great time.
Well, Matt, let me ask you this. With all that's happened there, with the earthquake and the horrible tragedy, does that hit home for you more, having played over there and having formed relationships over there?
Yeah, it really does. As soon as that happened, I made some calls with some of the guys I still keep in touch with, my interpreter, a couple of the players, and fortunately, all the people that I knew and their families are safe. But gosh, 30,000 people missing or dead. It's just an unbelievable tragedy. But those are resilient people over there. They've been through a lot, and they're going to come through just fine.
Matt, it's great to catch up with you. Thanks for spending the time, all right?
Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate it. Glad to be here.
Matt Franco, guys, see if Daniel Murphy can provide a big hit. Pitching change. Back to you.
Lincoln call. Rookie left-hander Matt Reynolds comes on in relief for the Rockies to face Daniel Murphy with 2 out and a runner at second, and throws a breaking ball in the dirt to start him off 1-0. Murphy drove in a run with a double down the right field line his last time up. As you look at Reynolds,
he pitched in 21 games last year for Colorado. Struck out 17 and 18 innings pitched. It's 4 for 4 thus far this year in first batters faced.
Esmil Rogers went 5 2/3 through 106 pitches. He looks on as Reynolds deals 1-0 to Murphy, who slaps one to shortstop, and Tulowitzki slides over in front of it and throws in the dirt and gets him by a stride. Side retired. Well, Tulowitzki with a poor throw, but dug out by Helton, and that keeps the Mets off the board in the 6th. Mets go to their bullpen as we head to the 7th. In New York sports with insider info, exclusive interviews, special guests, and heated debate on Daily News Live, Wheelhouse, and Loudmouths, all part of the New York Sports Local, weekdays starting at 5, only on SNY. The former Colorado Rocky, Taylor Buchholz, takes over the pitching for the Mets as we go to the 7th.
Well, the last time Buchholz pitched was the final game in that National Series. He came on in relief of Carrasco. He got himself into a jam. He walked 3 guys in that outing, and it was basically 2/3 of an inning plus. But didn't give up a hit and was able to get out of the jam. He's done a pretty good job so far for this Met bullpen.
And this will be his first time facing his old team. He spent 2.5 seasons with Colorado, another that he was hurt and didn't pitch at all. Jonathan Herrera leads off in the 7th inning for Colorado. Herrera's 1 for 3. And runs up as though to bunt and takes ball 1. Buchholz had as good a setup year as you can have in 2008 for Colorado. He was in 63 games that year, 66 innings, 45 hits, only 18 walks, a 2.17 ERA. But then was hurt all of 09 and missed a good portion of last year as well. Pitched in only 9 big league games and wound up with Toronto at the end of the season before the Mets signed him, hoping that he could bounce back to that 2008 form. So there's got to be a little extra adrenaline, you would think, for Mr. Buchholz tonight.
Of course, whenever you face your old teammates, you get fired up.
Yeah, that fastball led her high for a strike to Herrera, 2-2. It'll be Herrera, then Carlos Gonzalez and Troy Tulowitzki for the Rockies in the 7th. Mets had a 2-0 and 3-1 lead. But Tulowitzki's 3-run homer in the 5th, and then Spielborg's home run in the 6th, and Jonathan Nice on the hook in a 5-3 game. And the curveball to Herrera is down 3-2.
And that's been Buchholz's big pitch. It always has been his curveball. And he likes to throw it.
And it's not your lollipop 12-6. It is a hard curveball. This is high, ball 4. So Buchholz, who walked 3 of the 5 batters to face him on Sunday, walks the first batter to face him tonight. And it goes back to what Terry Collins was talking about when we spoke to him earlier. He's just been stunned at all the walks.
4 so far in this game.
And 48 for Met pitchers this season in only 96 innings. That's a walk every 2 innings, which is just way too many.
A leadoff walk, you're always asking for trouble. And that will give your pitching coach and manager Excedrin headache number whatever.
Well,
in this case, number 4.
48. That's how many walks. Here's Gonzalez, who had a rough night against Nice. 2 strikeouts and a ground out, all on curveballs. Now facing Buchholz. And Gonzalez hits one out to left center field. Willie Harris trying to see this one and stays with it on the warning track for the out. Herrera stays put, 1 away.
Just missed that one. Got under it enough. Good cut by the batting champion.
Been an adventure for Willie Harris out in left field in this series.
It certainly has. Looks like he's kind of, running on eggs out there a little bit, but gets the job done.
Had a problem with the lights the other night. Perhaps the lights or the fog caused him not to catch Helton's double back in the 2nd inning tonight. So now Tulowitzki, who has been perfect tonight, a single, double, and 3-run homer.
So that makes him a 5 for 7 in the series.
Tulowitzki, who has a reputation for being a slow starter, has been anything but this year. Now hitting at .314, 5 home runs to lead the National League. Felipe Paulino up in the Colorado bullpen. There goes Herrera, and Tolle's throw not in time. Mets have yet to throw out an opposing base runner this season.
Good stolen base here, the 3rd for Herrera. Good time for it with your big hitter up at the plate. And he's clearly safe. And now you're offensively as a hitter. You can go base hit. You can go to your base hit short stroke here. Drive in a big run.
Maybe you want to walk him this time.
Righty.
I'm just saying. They haven't gotten him out yet. There goes Herrera again. The pitch outside. Tole's throw not in time. Herrera steals second, and now he steals third.
Wow. And Tole has no shot. Just a great jump and speed, and it was a curveball too. Got to pay more attention.
And you wonder, with the Rockies facing their old teammate Buchholz, whether they know something that'll allow Herrera to get huge jumps on each of those two pitches.
Don't you just sense this Rocky team as the Mets infield comes in to cut off this run? A little more. This team is more self-confident.
Curveball in for a strike to Tulowitzki. Well, over the last few years, the Rockies have had a penchant for late season runs, but they haven't necessarily gotten off to good starts, and that was one of the things that Jim Tracy preached during spring training. Winning on the road, winning early. And so far this very early season, they've done both. Now Buchholz ahead 1-2 on Tulowitzki. And he stopped the swing, 2-2.
Well, you always want to get off to a good start, no matter what ball club you're on or what team. But particularly with this Rocky team, and you mentioned it, Gary, the slow starts they've had. I just think the last two seasons with their strong finishes. Oh, good pitch by Buchholz.
So Tulowitzki retired for the first time tonight. Where is he?
2-2.
2-2. I think that was strike.
The fans got fooled.
I had that as strike 3. And I think so did the home plate umpire Jim Wolf. Tulowitzki lost track.
I wonder if he was looking at the scoreboard. The scoreboard had
one of the stolen bases was a strike. And then there was a second strike, and this is the third.
Struck him out with a changeup. Good change. Look, he's out in front. Great shot right there. Him out in front. Good pitch.
So 2 out. Now the infield can drop back. Jose Lopez at the plate. Lopez 0 for 3 tonight. Popped up, grounded out, flied out. Herrera at third with 2 down, and a good curveball to start him off. 0-1.
But I think getting back to the point, Gare, is that this Rocky club, with the great finishes they've had the last 2 years, even though they kind of collapsed towards the end last year, but they made a great run in September. That just carries over to the next year. And now this team's become more of a veteran ball club. Their young players are maturing, and the confidence comes.
2 good curves by Buchholz to Lopez. 0-2.
Went fishing.
Paulino, the right-hander, up in the Colorado bullpen. 0-2 from Buchholz. Struck him out. 3 curveballs get Jose Lopez. And Buchholz works around the leadoff walk. 7th inning stretch time. Mets with the heart of the order coming up. matchup, plus all the latest team news and rumors on Mets Blog, presented by Verizon, featured on SNY.TV, your online home of all things New York sports. The former Houston Astro, Felipe Paulino, takes over the pitching for Colorado.
Acquired in the offseason for Clint Barmes, the infielder. Pitched with Houston last year, was 1-9 with a .511 earned run average in 14 starts. In 09, he was 3-11 with an ERA over 6.
Yikes.
So they like something about him.
David Wright takes a strike. Well, the Astros always liked his stuff, but he walks too many, and that's been his downfall. David Wright has struck out and twice flied to right, 0 for 3. Wright, Beltran, and Davis trying to bring the Mets back in the bottom of the 7th. And Paulino's overhand breaking ball in for a strike, 0-2. Esmil Rogers went 5 2/3, allowed 3 runs, 7 hits, walked 4, struck out 2 wild pitches. He stands to be the winner. Matt Reynolds retired, the only batter to face him, and now Paulino working in the 7th. And Wright lays off the slider, 1-2.
There you go.
It's the wildness from Paulino. You know, you talked about the Rockies and getting off to a fast start and the good feelings it can produce. The flip side is, with a team like the Mets, it's trying to regenerate itself and find a winning feeling. When you get off to a difficult start, as Wright fouls back the fastball, how much of a lasting effect can that have beyond the first 10 days of the season?
Well, my main concern right now, Gary, with this club is that I'm hopeful that it doesn't get I can't think of the right word right now. It's just down the dumps. Get their dauber down.
Demoralized?
Demoralized is a much better word. I do think that the manager won't allow it. He's too positive, but we're only 11 games into the season. We're not even close to getting out of April.
3-2 to Wright, and David hits a comebacker through the middle, a base hit. So David's aboard for the first time tonight, and the Mets get the tying run to the plate here in the 7th. Well, I think the manager is very positive, but I think he's also very direct and lets people know exactly what displeases them. That's a positive too.
We talked about accountability, and there's going to be accountability on this team. You know, you get praise when you do well, and you know, if you're not doing the job, you're not going to have someone sugarcoat it.
Beltran has swung the bat well tonight, an opposite field double, a walk, and a line drive to left, 1 for 2. And he fouls back the first pitch fastball at 96 from Paulino.
Good cut by Carlos. He is really swinging the bat good. And you saw his expression after that swing. That was his pitch, out over the plate, mid-thigh. Just got under it.
Gotta like the way Carlos is swinging the bat right now. Tying run at the plate in a 5-3 game in the 7th. And he hits it sharply toward the middle, of base hit. Right around second, he'll go on to third, and the Mets have the tying runs aboard with nobody out. Back-to-back base hits from Wright and Beltran to start the 7th.
That's going to get a little bullpen activity. I think they're going to get someone up. They've already. Mets have activity.
The Rockies have already used one of their left-handers. They also have Franklin Morales, who we saw in the first game of the series. But the right-hander will stay in to face Ike Davis. Mets are just 1 for 8 with runners in scoring position tonight, but Davis has been their best RBI guy from opening day. 11 runs batted in the first 10 games.
Take a look at the defense. What in the world is this man doing in right there with Ike Davis up? That is Jose Lopez.
Ike is 1 for 3 tonight. Singled into right center back in the 3rd. First and 3rd and nobody out. And Davis swings and misses at the slider, 0-1.
I like what Ike has been. I like what Ike has been doing at the plate of late. Is see Izzy and Beato up in the bullpen. Ike has been going on RBI situations looking for fastball first pitch, and you get it, jump on it. Got a curve there.
And Ike lines one towards short. Tulowitzki's got it, and the runners get back. So Ike hit the ball sharply, but right to Tulowitzki for the first out of the inning.
And once it leaves your bat, you can't guide it. And that's just another good at bat with men in scoring position for Ike.
Angel Pagan is at his best night at the plate this season. A single, a walk, and a long triple to right center. Right at third, and Beltran at first with one out. So Angel looking to get his bat going. Matt Lindstrom, the hard-throwing right-hander, gets up in the Colorado bullpen. Hard throwers, the Rockies have a whole bunch of them. So here's Pagan.
Boy, he almost balked.
Sure did.
You've got to step off your foot. That's gonna his right foot. It's got to come off. He did take it up behind the rubber.
Just stumbled a little bit. Like.
Yep.
And Pagan takes the first pitch fastball off the plate for ball one. Of course, you can't fake to first from the rubber. You can fake to second or third.
I wonder who made that rule up a long time ago. Huh? That's interesting.
Was not Abner Doubleday.
I mean, there's got to be a history of the, I guess would be the founders of this game. I'm sure things evolved in time and they tinkered with it.
There have been rule changes since the beginning of the game, but not that many in terms of the way the game is played. Those batters used to be able to call their pitch. Would you have loved that? Pagan strokes one into left field. Gonzalez is there. Right tags at third. Gonzalez should throw to second, but he's going to heave the ball toward the plate. Beltran thinks about going to second, but it's cut off. It's a sacrifice fly for Angel Pagan, and it cuts the Rockies' lead to 5-4.
Well, one thing I've seen from the Gold Glove outfielder out there is that wasn't a very strong throw. He made a strong throw the first game. He's got to throw to second base here. Right runs too well. The ball's hit too deep. That's the tying run, Carlos, right there at first base. Now, he did hit the cutoff man, but it's not a strong throw.
So 2 out. Beltran the tying run at first, and now Willie Harris as Polino checks in on Beltran, who has not yet attempted a stolen base this year. Harris is 0 for 2 and a walk tonight. Twice in this game came up with a runner at third and 2 out, but couldn't get him home. And Polino throws a letter high strike. Just FYI, the balk rule was introduced in 1898, so the game had already been around for half a century and on the professional level for about 30 years before it was introduced. And do you know that there are 13 different ways to balk? I will not enumerate them all right now.
No, we haven't got enough time.
It's Ringhausen up in the Mets bullpen.
Plus, you'd probably put me asleep.
And everybody else. Sent a lot of remotes clicking. Now Harris down to the count 0-2. And Polino can't pick off the outside edge. 1-2. Josh Tolley would be next. Mets led 2-0 and 3-1. Tulowitzki and Spielberg's homered to make it 5-3 Colorado. Mets have scratched back a run here in the 7th to make it 5-4. Now the 1-2, and Harris goes down swinging at the breaking ball. Iannetta completes the putout with the toss, and the inning is over. But the Mets scratch a run back. David Wright got it started with a base hit up the middle. Carlos Beltran with the same. Switch to Fios and network ahead. To learn more, visit Verizon.com/getFios. By City and by BMW, the ultimate driving machine. Get to Citi Field tomorrow afternoon as the series with the Rockies concludes with a single admission doubleheader starting at 12:10 p.m. Tickets start at $10. Visit Mets.com or call 718-507-TIXX for your tickets now. Pedro Beato, who pitched brilliantly in an inning of work on Monday night, goes back to the mound tonight.
Well, he has been perfect. The New York native, you see, over 6 innings, spotless, good hard sinker, very composed out there for a youngster. See the sink right there.
Todd Helton has hit the ball hard all night. Double to left center in the second, singled in a run in the fourth, and lined out to right in the sixth. 2 for 3. Todd Helton, as you look at Tim Burdack up in the bullpen, came into the year with a career batting average over 320, a career on base percentage over 400, and a career slugging percentage over 550. Here are the other players in Major League history who have those combination: Jimmy Fox, Lou Gehrig, Rogers Hornsby, Stan Musial, Babe Ruth, Ted Williams, Albert Pujols, and Todd Helton.
I would love to see those other guys play their career in Colorado, and not to take anything away from Todd. Todd's a perfect player, but you put Babe Ruth at Coors Field and Pujols for to play 81 home games. I bet you their numbers would be staggering, because really Helton's a line drive hitter. He's not a classic power hitter. He's a doubles hitter. He's really a classic left-handed number 3 hitter. He's just consummate professional.
And there was a time when he hit a lot of home runs, at as many as 47 in a season. But since they put in the humidor, since his back has troubled him, since he's gotten into his now late 30s, he's 37, that's changed. And I'm not here to suggest that he is on a par with those names that I just mentioned, but I think that he gets overlooked sometimes because he has played his whole career in the high altitude.
It's almost like he's got an asterisk after his statistics, after his stats.
Well, I mean, Larry Walker played a lot of years in Colorado, but you know, Walker had an opportunity to play as Helton strikes out, and Beato gets him one away. Walker had the opportunity to play in Montreal before, and he had a chance to play, years afterward in St. Louis, and had a chance to prove himself in different venues, whereas Helton has not. He's played his entire career in Colorado. One out and nobody on. Now Ryan Spilborghs, who hit the home run in the 6th inning, that right now is the difference in this 5-4 game. And a slider for a strike from Beato. Well, so far Pedro Beato has not seemed the least bit cowed by pitching in the major leagues. His first 2 weeks, another good breaking ball, and it's 0-2.
Very good breaking ball.
24 years old, born in the Dominican, moved to this country when he was 12, grew up in Queens, and that's in there for a call, strike 3. So Spilborgh's down looking. Beato with back-to-back strikeouts. 2 out and nobody out. Let's check in with Chris Carlin for a New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. Josh Johnson just continues to pitch brilliant game after brilliant game. 2-0 on the season. Pitched that gem against the Mets on opening day. Chris Iannetta has walked twice and flied to right, 0 for 1. And it's grounded foul. 0-2. Head pitchers have now struck out 4 consecutive Rockies hitters. Buchholz struck out the last 2 in the 7th, and Beato's gotten the first 2 here in the 8th. John Neese went the first 6, allowed 5 runs, 7 hits, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts. Buchholz a hitless 7th. Matt Lindstrom getting ready to pitch the 8th for Colorado.
And Beato just looks like he's a 10-year veteran. Ching-Long Hu
getting ready for a pinch hitting assignment. Pitcher due up second for the Mets here in the bottom of the 8th. Too low to Iannetta, 3-2. Dexter Fowler has come out on deck to be a pinch hitter if Iannetta keeps the inning going. There's Dexter. Terry has very few bench options now with a 13-man pitching staff and only a 4-man bench. And the Mets are going to play 2 games tomorrow, and they need a starting pitcher for Friday because Chris Young has been pushed back to Sunday. Here's a 3-2, and it's outside ball 4. So Beato, after a couple of strikeouts, walks Iannetta. Here's your AT&T trivia question for tonight. Who's the only shortstop to lead the majors in home runs during the 20th century? The only shortstop to lead the majors in any given year, I assume that's what that means, during the 20th century. So now Dexter Fowler to pinch hit. Fowler started the opening game of the series in center field, went 1 for 4. And he attacks the first pitch, hits it toward the middle. Great diving stop by Murphy, and they get the force play. Well, the other night we saw Murphy diving to his left, and this time Murphy diving to his right to take a hit away from Fowler, and the nice shovel to get the Mets through the inning. Here, Home Depot doing more on defense. This was back in the first inning.
Well, great play here. Well, very nice play by the Gold Glove left fielder Carlos Gonzalez. That is his second fine play in this series.
So now we go to the bottom of the 8th. Dexter Fowler, who pinch hit, stays in the game in center field. And the pitcher, Matt Lindstrom, will hit 7th in the order.
And Lindstrom, the former Met Marlin, a hard thrower, has had arm problems throughout his career, but he is one of the really hard throwers in the game today. And you see he's off to a good start. His problem has always been the walks.
But also, very strangely, he's always been a guy, despite throwing 98, 99 miles an hour, who gives up more hits than innings pitched. Very strange. Last year, he had really a terrible year at Houston. 53 innings, 68 hits allowed for a guy who throws that hard. He saved 23 games for Houston in 29 chances. And now a Colorado Rocky. Josh Thole leads off in the bottom of the 8th and takes that heater for a strike at 96. Josh is 0 for 3 tonight. Struck out and grounded out twice. Chin Lung Hu on deck to pinch hit.
See the corner infielders, first base and third, guarding the line. 1-run lead in the 8th. No doubles.
And Thole hits a slow ground ball. Helton will go wide to get it. Makes the backhand flip, just like an option quarterback.
Tennessee volunteer.
Tomorrow night, Helton, who played at Tennessee, will hit against his former Tennessee teammate, R.A. Dickey. As you see that 3-1 put out for the first out. At one time, Helton was ahead of Peyton Manning on the depth chart at Tennessee. That changed quickly.
Nothing to be ashamed of.
No. They both, things have worked out pretty well for both of them, I'd say. Now Chin Lung Hu will pinch hit. We'll check it. It's going to be Scott Hairston, who had been out on deck. Would have hit presumably if Thole had gotten on to bunt. But with the Mets more in need of power here, Hairston will take a crack at it. It's been a rough start to the season for Scott Hairston. Just 1 for 15 to begin this year.
And he had such a great spring training. But this is the right move here. You need a one, maybe he gets a blast and tie this ball game up.
First pitch slider from Lindstrom, 1-0. And the fastball right by him, 1-1. See that light mist, fog, chill, breeze. It's been that kind of night at Citi Field. 1-1 from Lindstrom, and Hairston hits one in the air to shallow left. In comes Carlos Gonzalez. Catches it through the fog for the second out. So 2 out and nobody on. Reyes coming up. Coming up tonight, Geico Sports Night after the post-game show. Rangers and Caps play game 1 of their playoff series. The Knicks will play the Celtics for meaningful games over the weekend, but finish the season tonight. And Barry Bonds convicted of obstruction of justice. We'll hear from Victor Conti of Nalco fame about that. All tonight coming up on Geico Sports Night after the postgame. Reyes 1 for 4 tonight, double to left center, and scored a run in the 4th. And even more important to play the lines against Reyes in the late innings, because anything down the line could be 3 bases. Francisco Rodriguez and DJ Carrasco up in the bullpen. Carrasco probably if the Mets do not tie it, and A-Rod if they do. 1-1 to Reyes. Reyes with his double tonight now has a 10-game hitting streak. Failed to hit in the first game of the season. He's hit in every one since. In the air to right field, and Seth Smith retreats. He's there. And that retires the side. A 1-2-3 inning for Matt Lindstrom. We head to the 9th at Citi Field. 5-4 Colorado. Rockies in Game 1 of tomorrow's doubleheader here at Citi Field. Mets-Rockies coverage begins with Pepsi Max pregame live tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. only on SNY. Dickey goes in the first game against Greg Reynolds. Chris Capuano in the nightcap against Jorge De La Rosa.
That is a 12 noon start, the first game, correct?
Zactamundo. Be here. Aloha.
Be there or be square.
Exactly. There had been talk about DJ Carrasco starting for the Mets Friday night in Atlanta, but he'll be used in relief here in the top of the ninth. Seth Smith, a check swing foul ball. Chris Young came up with a little biceps tendonitis. He was supposed to pitch Friday. He's been pushed back to Sunday as Houston Street gets up in the Colorado bullpen. The Mets were going to need an extra starter because of the doubleheader. They would have needed one Sunday. Now instead they need one Friday. And Terry Collins was intimating that Carrasco might get the start Friday, but probably less likely now with him pitching in relief here. And I would think also with 18 innings to get through tomorrow that the likelihood would be that the Mets will have to wind up calling somebody up from the minors to make that start.
And I don't think it's going to be Dylan G. He pitched the other night,
pitched
right?
Last night, yeah. He's on track to pitch. Would have been on track to pitch Sunday, so maybe it would be Pat Misch instead. But we'll see how that all shakes out. In any event, the Mets are going to have to slot somebody in Friday night in Atlanta. And Mike Pelfrey will go Saturday and Young on Sunday. Breaking ball, strike 3 call. Carrasco gets Smith looking for the first out. Let's check in on what's coming up on Lincoln Post Game Live, guys. Here's Jonathan Herrera. He takes a strike. Herrera 1 for 3 and a walk tonight. He's also stolen a couple of bases. Scored a run. And it's fouled away. 0-2. Looking ahead to the bottom of the ninth, the Mets will have 2, 3, and 4 in the order coming up. Murphy, Wright, and Beltran. Houston Street getting ready to try and close it for the Rockies. Carrasco trying to keep this a 1-run game. The Rockies won a 1-run decision in the opening game of this series on Monday night. And Street closed that game out with a 1-2-3 ninth. Met bullpen is not allowed to hit tonight over 2 1/3. Buchholz pitched the 7th, Beato the 8th. A little flare down the left field line, and Harris diving, can't get it, and it goes behind him. Herrera hesitated. Now he's running for second. He's going to turn there and stop. Well, if Herrera hadn't stopped coming around first base, he might be on third right now, as Harris attempting the dive and coming up short.
Well, I don't understand why he stopped here. Nice effort by Harris. Can't get to it, but watch Herrera here. Oh, we're not going to get a shot here, but he rounded first base and pulled up. Watch him make his turn here. When you're hot, you're hot. Here he is with a little blooper. He lost the ball. Oh, he slipped. And when he slipped, he took his eye off the ball, and that's the difference in him being on second and not being on third.
Which is huge with 1 out in a 1-run game. Now Carlos Gonzalez, who's 0 for 4 tonight. And he takes one below the knees for ball 1. Gonzalez struck out twice and grounded out against John Neese, then hit a long fly ball to left. That was caught against Taylor Buchholz in the 7th. Last year's National League batting champ. Just 1 for 9 in this series. Ray is shadowing Herrera at second base. 2-0 to Gonzalez with Troy Tulowitzki looming on deck.
Well, the ultimate respect for that man right there. You got the batting champ of last year up at the plate and the left-hand hitter with an open base, and they're pitching to him.
Carrasco behind 2-0. And Gonzalez cracks one to left. Harris in front of this one makes the grab for the second out. So Gonzalez at a rope But Harris in the right place to grab it for the second out.
They played him over as an opposite field hitter. This was a beautiful swing on that pitch.
So let me ask you one more time. Would you walk Tulowitzki here?
No. Emphatically. And I wouldn't pitch. You got to pitch him carefully. But no. Oh, they're going to walk him.
I think Terry's seen enough.
Okay.
At first base open with 2 out in the 5th. And Tulowitzki took an outside pitch and lined it into the seats in right field for a 3-run homer that put the Rockies in front.
Well, you've got Jose Lopez behind him, which is not giving him a lot of protection. So I'll be curious to see what Terry has to say after this game. And as I said, the 3-run home run with Nice out there, the lefty, I would pitched him carefully. And if you fall behind, walk him. But you got a veteran pitcher in Carrasco here, but Nice is still green.
Well, the other piece here is that Carrasco has history against Lopez. Lopez is just 1 for 8 against Carrasco, whereas Tulowitzki's had 2 at-bats against him, and one of those 2 was a home run. So he'll opt for Lopez instead. Lopez 0 for 4 tonight. Popped up, grounded out, flied out, struck out. Carrasco trying to keep it a 1-run game with the Mets' big hitters coming up in the bottom of the 9th. 2 on and 2 out. And Lopez takes the breaking ball off the plate, 1-0. And now it's 2-0. And you got Todd Helton, a good left-hand hitter, standing on deck.
Well, you got Burdack up and ready in the bullpen.
So if Lopez gets on, in all probability, we'd see Burdack to pitch to Helton. Grounded to shortstop, right at Reyes. Goes the short way and gets the force play to end the inning. So Carrasco gets out of trouble, and now the Mets will have Murphy, Wright, and Beltran to try and come from behind. AT&T trivia question: who was the only shortstop to lead the majors in home runs during the 20th century?
Banks.
Ernie Banks.
Mr. Cub.
Mr. Cub, before he moved to first base later in his career. He was the first of the power hitting shortstops.
Look at that grip. He's got a separation between his 2 hands. How about that?
And a big smile on his face.
Always does.
He was the guy who always said, let's play two. Tomorrow's a big Ernie Banks day around here.
That's right.
Houston Street 5 out of 5 in save opportunities, including one on Monday night.
He missed most of the first half of the season last year with shoulder inflammation. Got 20 saves. He was acquired from Oakland along with Carlos Gonzalez in exchange for Matt Holliday back in the offseason of 2008.
Not a bad deal. Daniel Murphy leads off in the last of the ninth, and first pitch swinging fouls it off. Murphy drove in a run with a double in the fourth. He's also walked and scored a run and been robbed of a hit on a great play by the second baseman Herrera in the third. So it's been a good night at the plate for Murph. 1 for 3. Wright and Beltran to follow as the Mets try and pull one out in their final turn. And Murphy hits one in the air to right field. Easy for Seth Smith. One man down in the last of the ninth.
Well, that's the signature pitch for Street, is that off-speed pitch. And he got this one. It's great movement on his fastball and his changeup as David Wright steps up. Good sink away. That got Murph out in front.
David tonight is 1 for 4 and a base hit up the middle his last time up and scored a run. Don't you think it would be interesting if, just for regionalism's sake, when Houston Street comes to the game, that the PA guy here announced him as Houston Street? I mean, this is New York. We don't have a Houston Street. We have a Houston Street.
No, it's interesting that he's spelled really like John Houston, right, the director, and Houston Street spelled like Houston, Texas.
We should embrace those regional differences. Whereas Houston Street's dad was a great college quarterback. James Street at the University of Texas won a national championship. K-Rod up in the bullpen in case the Mets can get it to the 10th. And Wright chases the breaking ball, and it's 0-2. In fact, James Street was also a college pitcher and hurt his arm pitching in a college game his last year at Texas, and he never played professionally in baseball or football because of that. But his son Houston has become an elite closer. Carlos Beltran on deck. Carlos has had a terrific night at the plate. 0-2 to right, and David fouls one off.
Gosh, that was a hanger right there to rip. And David was just a little tardy. He knows it.
Now Street ahead 0-2. Now on 1-2, Wright lays off, and it's 2-2.
Street's one of those guys that'll gets ahead. He'll try to get you to fish. Won't throw you a strike.
Now the 2-2. And David just got a piece to stay in the at bat. Well, early in his career, time after time, David would get to 2 strikes in at bats late in games, and something good would inevitably happen. It's been a problem for him with 2 strikes the last couple of years, but trying to make something happen here against Street in the 9th. 2-2. Hit hard but foul, and if it's a fair ball, Lopez is there because he was practically standing on the line deep behind the bat.
And you've got an off-speed pitcher in Street. Loves his changeup, and this is one. And that's the Ultramo Mercedes-Benz.
Brought to you by your Tri-State dealers on the web at searchmercedes.com. That's teamwork, my friend.
It was good. Good handoff.
8th pitch of the at bat from Street to right. And David hits it sharply right to the third baseman Lopez. There he was standing on the line, and the throw is perfect for the second out. So the Mets are down to their final out of the night. And Carlos Beltran, who has swung the bat well all night, will get a crack at Street. Beltran, an RBI double, a walk, a line out to left, and a hard hit single to center, 2 for 3. Mets in danger of losing their 3rd in a row and their 6th in their last 7 games. And Beltran watches a strike. 0-1. Esmil Rogers stands to get his 2nd win. He went the first 5 2/3, allowed 3 runs, 7 hits. That's got a run off the Rocky bullpen in the 7th, but no more. 1-1 to Beltran. Matt Lindstrom pitched a 1-2-3/8, and now Street has gotten the first 2 in the 9th. Ike Davis would be next. Doubleheader tomorrow starting at noon. R.A. Dickey against Greg Reynolds in the first game. Chris Capuano and Jorge De La Rosa in the second.
They're just going to keep the ball away from Carlos.
And he had a good rip at the fastball. 1-2.
Did you see Street's reaction to this pitch? He knew he made a mistake. That is right down the middle. Got away with it.
But now the Mets are down to their final strike. One-two to Beltran. Grounded to the right side. Herrera cuts it off and makes the toss, and the ball game is over. Street saves the first 2 games of the series as the Rockies win their 4th in a row and hand the Mets their 3rd straight loss, as Troy Tulowitzki's 3-run homer puts the Rockies in front, and they never trail after that.
Well, the Mets had their chances here, and this homestand, this first homestand of the 2011 season, is off to a 1-4 start. Disappointing, but this is a good Colorado ball club here, and they hang on for the win, and Tulowitzki is the hitting star. The 3-run home run in the 5th inning is the difference.
Well, John Neese had the lead until Tulowitzki took one the other way. His 3-run shot put the Rockies in front, and they win it 5-4. Back with more from Citi Field in a moment.